Hello, everybody. I believe we are live. Let me know in the chat if we're live. Let me know in the chat how I sound. Let me know in the chat how you guys are feeling after witnessing the Emmanuel Ogbole game. Emmanuel Ogbole, Star Center, has a career game. So does Dylan Grant to lead Rutgers to an 84-72 win over a pesky Lehigh team that made this a game for much of the night. That was within 2 points with 8 minutes to play. Which gave Rutgers its biggest test so far of the early season. Rutgers manages to survive, pushes Lehigh back in the last 8 minutes, thanks mostly to Emmanuel Ogbole, who had more points in the second half against Lehigh than he did in any game in his career. He finished with a career-high 16 points and 10 rebounds, a double-double. I believe his first career double-double. Let me double-check that to be sure. His first career double-double. And he had most of it came in the second half, where he had 15 points on 7 of 7 shooting. So in this game, Emmanuel Ogbole did he's expected to do as a 6'10", 275-pound physical specimen, which is dominate lesser competition. Lehigh did not have anybody with size to compete against him. And in the second half, he feasted on the boards. Got let's see how many offensive boards he got in the second half. Sorry, this is a bit unintuitive. Second half, Emmanuel Ogbole had 5 offensive rebounds and 7 points. 7 baskets, most of it coming off of putbacks. So that tells the story. So very encouraging to see him do that against lower opposition. Probably should happen more often, but it is a good sign that it's happening now. And Rutgers will be hopeful that he can do that against the American and do that against Central Connecticut State, and maybe not go 7 of 7 in the Big Ten schedule, but be able to compete the way he did today. Because the other side of the coin here is that he doesn't have much help behind him at his position, right? He needs to be the guy at center for Rutgers, because by fall, again, one stint in the first half, played 4 minutes. He got a block, but did not do much else besides that. And Bryce Dortch had a nice game. 3 cuts offensively to the basket. His teammates found him with some nice passes, and he finished around the rim. So nice game offensively, stood his ground defensively, but I remain, let's say, skeptical about how effective he could be at that position for 10 to 15 minutes in the Big Ten. So I mean, in fairness, I remain skeptical about essentially the entire roster in Big Ten play. But I will say both Dortch and Ogbole, solid games. What you want to see against a team like Lehigh. And then his second half came after Dylan Grant led the way in the first half, was essentially Rutgers' entire offense in a day that they were a bit out of sorts. He had 18 points, which is one short of his career high in the first half, and he finished with 28 points. So his best game, and he did what you want to see out of him as the guy. He had it in spurts the first 2 games, had it in the second half against Maine, and here had as close to a complete game as he's had as a Scarlet Knight. Really effective in the first half, aggressive offensively. I thought he should even have the ball in his hands more, but he did. It was hard to pick anything he could have done better in the first half, and that's what you need out of him, out of your guy, to be successful this season. So thanks for guys for tuning in. In case you're coming in a little late, we're talking after Rutgers beats Lehigh 84-72. Again, if I sound good, let me know in the chat. If you have questions, let me know in the chat. I'll keep finishing up my game review here in a bit, and then we'll go into player grades. And as we do player grades, I encourage you all to, in the chat, play along, grade the players along with me, grade them all ahead of me. I don't care as long as you guys participate in the chat. Thanks again for watching the show. And please, if you enjoy it, hit subscribe. And that really helps us and helps me look good to my boss. So much appreciated for those who do. Again, it's good for Rutgers in the end that they faced a close game in one of these first 5 games against Tomato Can. We figured it would happen, and this is about as good as you want, because Lehigh never threatened to win, never took the lead in the second half, but they made it really close. They made it uncomfortable. They took Rutgers out of sorts offensively, especially in the second half. They forced a lot of key turnovers, timely turnovers that they turned into points. And look, Rutgers was bad from threes. Let me get my stat sheet here. Apologies if my mic cuts off there. I don't think it will. They shot 3 of 13 on threes. On layups, they were 13 of 25. 2 items that obviously are not ideal. What they did do was shoot well in non-rim twos. They were 11 of 19. I think it's clearly a concern that they're shooting 19 non-rim twos. That's not ideal. It's not good shot selection, and it's not likely that they're going to hit 11 of them on a regular basis when they're playing better defense. To their credit, Jermichael Davis and Tariq Francis hit a couple of them in the first half. That really kept the offense going and pushed back some of Lehigh's efforts. But again, it's not ideal. And Rutgers did hit 19 free throws. A lot of their points came from the free throw line, but it took 27 attempts. So they're not really doing great on free throws. They're not shooting well at the rim. They're not shooting well. Well, at least they didn't shoot well at threes tonight. So this is it's concerning. It's concerning the offensive output of this team against lower competition when Tennessee is a bit of an extreme example because that will probably be one of the best defenses they face all season. But the stark difference that is going to be there if Rutgers does not get a little bit better on that end will be clear from when they're playing these lower teams. But in the end, Rutgers is 3-0, which is what they needed to be after 3 games. They enter next week with 2 more tomato cans, American and Central Connecticut State, and then the real season starts, so to speak, when they go to Las Vegas. But until then, let's go through the stat sheet. Let's go through the grades. Apologies to user Discord who asked me to ask Dylan Grant why he wears 2 different colored shoes, and I completely forgot. I apologize. And fair, thank you to HJG for the question. Fair point. They scored 84 points against Lehigh. That's good. They let Lehigh score 72 points. That's not great. Lehigh went 9 of 25 on threes, so it's not like they were shooting and making a ton of threes. 9 is a decent amount of threes, but it's not like they were out of their mind there. 11 of 16 on free throws, so they didn't get to the line often, but they got to the line a decent amount. A big issue was turnovers led to points. They scored 18 points off 10 turnovers. Some of those were pick sixes, which is just not ideal. You can't have that when it's the second half where the game is kind of going back and forth. And there were just a couple of concerning things. One, Jermichael Davis was getting beat off the dribble pretty easily by Lehigh's guards, and that led to a few easy buckets. And just some simple cutting and simple actions off of pick and rolls just led to easy buckets for Lehigh. And while Rutgers did block a few shots at the rim, Badaloo had one, Byfall had one, I think Ogbole had one. They give up a lot of good looks at the rim too, which is it's Lehigh. They don't have a lot of size, they don't have a lot of strength, they don't have a lot of speed. It's not great to give those up. Though Lehigh was 8 of 15 on layups, there were a lot of good looks that better teams would hit. So I agree, it's not great to give up 72 points to Lehigh. So looking at the stat sheet, let's go and do some grades here. Dylan Grant, he scored 28 points on 9 of 15 shooting, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, really good. Drew 8 fouls, had 1 turnover, had 4 rebounds. That's an A+ performance. It's hard to ask for anything more from him. Maybe a little shakier in the second half than the first, but again, 60% shooting, 90% from the free throw line, drawing a ton of fouls, and using his physical and talent advantage to overpower Lehigh. Dennis Badaloo, rough game for him after a really good first half and really bad second half against Maine. He finishes with 4 points, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, 1 block on 2 of 5 shooting, 0 of 2 on threes, 0 of 1 on free throws. If he's going to be your best shooter, you can't go over at the 3-point line or on free throws on any night, especially not Lehigh, but any night. If Rutgers is going to be successful, they need him to be efficient from the floor. Again, back and forth. He had 2 steals, but he had 2 turnovers. He had 3 assists, but he had a block, but he couldn't make shots. So I'll give him a C. Not much to write home there. A couple of standout plays, but not a good game by any means. I'll cut the grades off shortly. Question here from Matt, who says, actually, I'll put it on the screen. I can do that. Matt says, I don't want to sound negative, but it is looking like this team will get killed in conference play. These tomato can games should be won by at least 20 points. I don't disagree. I think the one encouraging game was Rider, where they destroyed a team that is about to be insolvent, which is not it's telling of where the basketball program is. If the entire university is going to be out of money, I don't imagine Rider has enough money to compete for any recruits, really. So that was the one game Rutgers dominated. Maine, they were never in trouble of losing, but they really didn't blow them out of the water as much as they should. And Lehigh gave them a game. Again, Lehigh lost by 20-something points to West Virginia and Houston, who are better teams than Rutgers, but the score, the 12-point win, is a bit more kind to Rutgers than the final result. I agree. I have seen nothing in the first 3 games that tell me that my preseason prediction of 4 to 6 Big Ten wins at best is wrong. Right? I feel more conviction in those preseason feelings, but the reality is also that even if Rutgers had won these games by 30, I don't think that would change much. And we only really know how Rutgers matches up against a team like that when they play teams like that. So just like if they lose to Tennessee by a lot, which I would not be surprised if that happens, I don't think that's entirely a reason to expect them to go 0-20, but it'll take a pretty good performance against the Notre Dame or Seton Hall. They need to win a couple of those games to convince me that maybe they have more of a shot in 10 than we think currently. So fair points, Matt. Raj Shah, too much ball early on does not bode well in conference play. I agree that the amount of non-rim twos, the amount of shots that were just pulling, Tariq Francis in particular, pulling for a three-pointer with 26 seconds left in the shot clock from 5 feet beyond the three-point arc, just not great shot selection at times in this game. I certainly agree. And just because the shots fell, particularly 3 shots where Tariq Francis and JaMychal Davis snaked around a screen from Emmanuel Ogbole, got some space in the mid-range and made it. Just because they fell does not mean they're great shots. So I agree. I don't see much of an offensive evolution this season. Not that we expected it, but the fact that Rutgers, a lot of the points they got in the second half were Emmanuel Ogbole putbacks, and a lot of the points they got in the first half were Dylan Grant isolation. Yes, I agree. But I mean, to be fair, did any of you expect this team to take leaps and bounds in offensive philosophy and offensive playmaking? I just don't. I don't think that's what we expected. I agree. It doesn't bode well in conference play. I mean, I just don't see this team being able to score in isolation against Big Ten defenses. Yeah, I don't disagree here. Steve Politti, did Ogbole tonight remind you of a young Will Chamberlain, a young David Robinson, a young Kevin Garnett, or D, a combination of all three with a little Hakeem mixed in? I'll throw in another one for you. Shaq, the way he was rebounding and dunking and throwing up layups and physically dominating. He looked like prime Shaq in the 0 Lakers, that era. But any of those other ones are probably fair. The thing, though, is that Wilt Chamberlain does not have his 100-point game on tape. Emmanuel Ogbole has the Emmanuel Ogbole game on tape, although it was on BTN Plus. So, unfortunately, millions of people that otherwise would have watched this game didn't, though there will be highlights on YouTube, I'm sure. Thank you for the question. Loyal, fierce listener, Steve Politti. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites for sure. Let me check the Discord if there are any other questions. So tomorrow, Jay asked this question actually before the live started, which I appreciate. Who is your surprise bench player throughout the rotation? And of those guys, who do you think would deserve more minutes? I would have said Chris Newley before this game, and he played 12 minutes, played in crunch time in the second half when it's a back and forth game, takes his first career three-pointer when it's a single digit game. It's back and forth. It's a tense moment. The offense is kind of wobbly. The defense isn't great. And he nails the three, which gives him some separation. So big credit to Chris Newley for that performance. And then obviously the big dunk in the first half for his first career basket and some really solid defense in the second half. So I guess while I'm talking about Chris Newley, I'll just give him a grade for today. I'll give him a B+. I thought he was really good for his third college game, being put in a big spot, came up big. Yes, it was Lehigh. That's the caveat with everything we're talking about today. But I was impressed with Chris Newley. And then I guess the other one would be Bryce Dortch. If you're asking me for the first 3 games, he has been the surprise for me off the bench only because I didn't expect him to have much of a say, let alone be the backup center in all reality behind Emmanuel Ogbole. So today he was good. I thought today was his best game. Aside from, it was his best game because much of what he did against Ryder, the game was already out of hand. So nice cuts to the basket, knows where to be, didn't hurt the team. I thought he did well. So I'll give Bryce Dortch a B. It's already a stat line. He had 7 points, 3 of 3 shooting from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, only 2 rebounds in 10.5 minutes, which isn't great from your center, but otherwise, and he had a steal. So I think really good game for Bryce Dortch. I would be surprised at, I am surprised at how big his role is in the rotation. I wouldn't say that he deserves more minutes, but I think he's deserved so far the role he's had. Let me go through and see if there are any other questions. How was Byfall ever rated as a 5-star? I've gotten that question a lot. I think in high school he was tall and lanky, but he had the size and showed some athleticism. And I think when you make these ratings out of high school, you project long-term. And I just think clearly it's year 3 for Byfall, and he has not come close really to living up to those lofty expectations. I think the big thing that sticks out to me is that he's made no physical gains in those 3 years. And I think that was kind of part of the contingent of what needed to happen at the very least for him to be able to live up to that. So, and that's not something that he can fix in, the 2-3 months remaining in the season. So I think Rutgers really does need him though to play a bigger role, be able to stay on the floor for more minutes. Again, while we're on him, he played for 3 minutes and 38 seconds, went 1 of 2 from the free throw line, had 2 rebounds, drew a foul, 1 point, 1 turnover, 1 block. I mean, I give him a C just because I'll give him a no grade because, as I said, anybody less than 5 minutes, I don't give a grade. But if I had to give a grade, I give him a C just because, I mean, there's really not much there. Let me go to our next question here from Raj Shah. Is Ogbole better than last season or too early to tell? I think yes, though that's a very low bar to clear. He's healthy. He had his best game of his career tonight. There haven't been as many moments where you kind of, facepalm. I think he's been, I don't know if he's been particularly good, but he's not been particularly bad outside of some isolated incidents, which is a step forward, I would say. 10 rebounds in the first game was positive, a double-double tonight. We'll have a more definitive answer when the games against the big boys arrive. But I would say that what you were looking for Emmanuel Ogbole realistically in the first 3 games, this is about as good as you could have asked for, right? So Death Star 123 asks, do you think this team makes the NIT or Vegas tournament? I do not. I do not think this team makes any postseason tournament. And if the Big Ten had not reversed its decision to make everyone into the Big Ten tournament and teams still had to qualify as being one of the 14 best teams, I would not be very certain that this team would make the Big Ten tournament either. They have plenty of time to change my mind. And, but right now I just don't, I don't see it. I honestly don't. I think I think they have a long way to go. And again, they can do that. Steve Peichel teams have gotten better over time. I don't think it's very likely. I really don't. Let's go through some more of the grades. So we've done Dylan Grant, who we gave an A. We did Dennis Badalo, who we gave a C. Emmanuel Ogbole, again, he got 16 points, 10 rebounds, 7 of 8 shooting from the floor, 2 of 4 on free throws, 2 assists. He had a really nice pass to Dylan Grant off the top of the key, and block. I mean, A+, right? This is as good as it's going to get for Emmanuel Ogbole. This was his game. Matt asks, do you think guys like Zerno, Fall, and Mark will be able to contribute a little bit more? I think you hope so, right? I think they can't really contribute any less unless they don't play. Mark played a bigger role today compared to the first 2 games. He played 7.5 minutes, didn't do particularly well, went 0 of 3 from the floor, had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Good effort, but hasn't really shown enough to warrant more minutes. He led a 3-on-1 break, and instead of passing to a guy on the inside for a free shot, he passed it on the outside to Zerno, who missed the 3. So just effort has been good. All these guys' efforts have been good, but I think that he needs to come more along. I think he will, and I think that as he gets better, he will earn more time. But I think clearly JaMychal Davis has earned the role as the lead ball handler. Tariq Francis has certainly maintained a better showings than Lino Marquez had so far. So I just don't see any reason why you would bump him up on the depth chart right now. So, but you need them to be better. You particularly need Zerno to be better. Again, this is a guy who came in and you heard the early rumblings that he was going to be play a big role in this team. He's coming off the bench, and he had another rough game today. 7 minutes and 25 seconds, 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 4 on threes, a couple of them air balls, 1 rebound. This is a rough game. I mean, I won't give him an F because Rutgers won, and he didn't, shoot them in the foot. I reserve Fs for when you actively hurt your team. Like that's a harsh grade that I normally never give to players, so I won't give him one. But I'll give him a D. That was just as rough as it could get, and I think Rutgers really needs him to. That's what he's here for. He's here to hit shots and score points, and when he's not doing that, he doesn't particularly make up for it defensively. So, and then by fall, we kind of gone through it. Yes, Rutgers needs him to contribute a little bit more. Will he? That'll be a TBD. So, who are we missing? Tariq Francis, 2 of 7, 0 of 2 on threes, 6 rebounds, 4 points, 4 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals. He had a couple of mid-range jumpers, took some ill-advised shots. Maybe his worst game through the first 3 games. Far from his first game against Ryder. I have to give him. I'll give him a because he got 6 rebounds, because he got 4 assists, and because he got 2 steals. I think that warrants a C. So he did all the other things besides scoring, but he had some trouble defensively, had some questionable decisions. So I'll go with a C. JaMychal Davis, 4 of 7 from the floor, 1 of 2 on threes, 5 of 6 on free throws, 4 rebounds, 14 points, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 block. So quiet 14 for those points were in the last 2 minutes when he's making free throws to kind of where Lehigh's stretching out the game. I'll give him a C plus. I thought he struggled defensively against the Lehigh's guards, gave up a lot of drives to the rim, and got beat a couple times pretty badly. He did score, hit a big 3, which is a good sign to see him hit one, take a few amount of threes, and 2, hit one at a big spot. It's a positive sign. But I think the bar is a little higher for him now as a third-year player in the system, third-year player in this program, and the captain and the starting point guard. I think I have a higher barrier for success for him, so I'll give him a C plus for tonight. Not great, but good performance. Darren Buchanan, 21 minutes, 2 of 5 shooting from the floor, 1 of 2 on free throws, 8 rebounds, 5 points, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. A bit out of control. Used his physicality well to get to the rim, but it's not decent defensively. But I just wanted to see more from him. I'll give him a C. There's more, he could do more there. I just didn't. I didn't think there was enough there from him tonight. And that's about it. That's the entire list of player grades. That's all I got. Rutgers is 3-0. Any other last second questions? Anything else you guys want to discuss about this game? I asked Chris Newley what I should get at his uncle's barbecue spot that he referenced on our podcast in Las Vegas. And he said pretty much everything. So I won't call that a cop-out, but I guess I go there with an open mind that anything will be good. So that's always good. And Steve Peichel laughed when I told him that fans enjoyed the podcast, which is always nice. JMax69 says Ogbole was shocked by his own play. He decided to do chin-ups. Easy, big fella. I thought it was a fine tech. I mean, he was there for a while. Got a little excited there. I don't blame him. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter because they won the game, and it wasn't really like the game was that tight at that point. So, good for him. Got the crowd a little pumped up. Probably more fiery crowd in the second half than they would have liked, considering the opponent. But it was a good early test. So, all right, guys. Unless anybody has anything last second. Oh, Raj Shah has something. If this team somehow beat Tennessee, would that make you reassess preseason expectations? Yes. If they upset a top 25 team that is on paper significantly better than them, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I would even, if they gave a close game, I would consider, shooting some expectations. I will say Rutgers gave Alabama a close game last year, and then things kind of fell apart. So one-off performance isn't exactly indicative of a season-long outlook, but certainly if they beat Tennessee, that's one of the biggest upsets of college basketball this season. So I would certainly be willing to shift my preseason expectations. I will say Rutgers will be a heavy underdog in that game. I wouldn't bet on them to win that game, being in Vegas. But we'll see. That's why they play the games, right? So don't see anything else in the chat. Don't see anything else in Discord. Don't see anything else on Twitter. So I guess that'll leave it for now. It's almost 10 o'clock on a Friday. I appreciate all of you guys who tuned into this at that time. I appreciate all of you who watch this afterward. It's going to be on our YouTube page. And so that wraps up our 84-72 Rutgers win over Lehigh. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Please keep watching. Let me know what you guys think over email, in the chat, over Twitter, whatever you guys want. If you have my number, text me. Talk to us in our Discord, the Rutgers Rant Discord. Until then, have a good night, and we'll talk to you guys Monday for our podcast and Tuesday after Rutgers plays American. Till then, see you guys.